Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mock Sports presents the Quaddie Poddy for the final time in 2023 as the season finale, the Gong, as we come to a close with the Spring Carnival. Cashy, joined by Nick. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Good way to wrap it up for the year and get into some cricket and some other stuff. But, yeah, doing well.
Yeah, a lot of good things coming. But with the Gong, we like to celebrate our anniversary here at the Mock Sports because 3 long years ago now, we started a podcast called the Mock Racing Club, and shows how much we knew about the carnival and racing in general. Our very first episode was on the very last week of the carnival, and going forward, we were just doing those benchmark 64 meetings at Rose Hill, not realising what benchmark ratings were, what Group 1s were. We just thought racing was racing, but as we had no real right to start that podcast when we did, as you're going to hear in a bit. I'm going to play some, but yeah, I'm going to play some for you, mate, because I've gone back through and listened to it, and I want to see your reaction. But yeah, 3 years, mate. It's gone by quick.
Yeah, it has. It's been a pretty weird ride. I'd probably say the last year's obviously a lot more success, a lot more stuff. It's that long grind that we've had, but yeah, good to see some results for us in the last 12 months. Big shout out to Dabble. They've been helping us out, obviously.
Yeah, big shout out to Stridyl.
Those two picking up 2 sponsors this year. I don't think we really thought that was going to happen. So, yeah, it's been pretty big, and yeah, lots of things still to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll touch on what comes next, but before we do that, let's just look back at the past. Like I said, I want you to hear, this is young 18-year-old Mitch and Nick dribbling about the horses because we thought we were kings just because we tipped a few winners to our mates. We decided, let's start a podcast. Had no real right back then. I reckon we've earned our stripes by now, but just listen to this, punters. Gentlemen, punters of all ages, welcome to the very first edition of the Mock Racing Podcast. My name is Mitchell, and I'm joined today by a fellow member of the TMRC, Nick Highland. How are we?
G'day, Mitchell. How are we?
Very good, mate. I'm very keen to get stuck into our tips today, especially yours.
Yeah, I'm very excited as well. We've been talking about doing this for a while, and can't think of a better bloke to start a podcast with next to me.
Stop it.
Get it. Let's just get it done, and hopefully along the way we can get a couple of the boys on here with us.
Exactly right. Tip a few winners of the boys. You know, we're all about tips for the average punter here at the TMRC. So hopefully we can send out a few good winners.
Yeah.
What did you think of that, mate?
It actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought, yeah, like that's not actually too bad. But yeah, it's pretty dribbly, I won't lie.
The funny thing about that, if you're somehow still with us after listening to that 3 years ago, thank you for being here this whole time. Yeah. The funny thing about that whole thing,
D-Pack.
D-Pack. If D-Pack's still listening, hit us up, mate. We love you. He was the original Mock fan. But you said can't think of a better bloke to be sitting next to recording a podcast. Thank you. But the funny thing was, we weren't sitting next to each other. We were doing that over Discord with our Xbox One headsets plugged in to our laptops. We're doing it remotely. We weren't even looking at each other. So that was fake to break the fourth wall for you. Another thing was that one was about almost an hour and 20 minutes long. We previewed 3 cards on the one pod. And
3 cards, and I think there was a live tip in there as well. A live race that I just decided to put in for a podcast that wasn't live, that no one listened to at that stage. I literally, pretty dribbly.
We did the Gong, Kembla Grange on the weekend, Ballarat, and then Rose Hill Friday night. And then because we recorded it on that Thursday, we did some Thursday race at like a Wagga. And Nick was like, you don't think we can tip winners? I'm going to tip one right now. And it's not even live.
Literally.
And 5 people were listening to it. It just
and 3 of them were our mates, and it's come a long way. So, yeah, pretty dribbly. Not as bad as I thought it'd be though.
But so out of all of the last 3 years, I make sure to ask this every year to see if it's updated. But favourite memory of the Mock Sports journey, the Mock Racing Club into the Mock Sports and the whole Mock endeavour.
I'd probably say it's still the same for me, personally, is just being on the punt with my mates, watching Ice Bath a couple of years back. That's
Golden
probably
Eagle,
Golden
Ice
Eagle,
Bath.
I don't know, 2021. maybe.
It would have been 2020 probably,
Yeah.
that first year.
That's probably the best memory. I just remember how we were all on it together and we all rode it together. But if I had to go off the last 12 months, it would definitely be one of our trips down to Melbourne, thanks to Dabble. That got us down there and we got to meet Tom Mitchell, Paddy Cripps, and
That was gonna be mine,
Josh
yeah.
Giddy. I'd say we got some good videos and one of them went viral, which was pretty good for us. I'd probably say that, or even the cricket last year we got down, or even getting into Jack Jenkins, UFC fighter, 2 days out from a fight, inviting us to his room. That would be pretty up there, I'd say.
Yeah, we've got some stories from the last 12 months. If you want a 2023 year in review, comment below and we'll get it done if that's something you're interested in, because we've got many stories to tell just from our mock endeavours as well as our respective Europe trips. But
I don't know about that. I don't know if many Europe stories will be posted online from my part.
But yeah, that trip down to Melbourne was hectic. Especially that Tom Mitchell, Paddy Cripps, Josh Giddy. Funny thing about that was we'd prepared to record with all of them just in case they said yes. Tom Mitchell said yes.
Giddy straight up said no to me.
Giddy said no, I can't.
It's just
said no.
It was licensing issues with NBA and stuff, so we just left it. But he was a good bloke. He had a chat to me while he could.
Great bloke. But I went in only I hadn't prepared small talk. I prepared the questions I was going to ask in recording. So I sat there for 5 minutes with Josh Giddy, basketball superstar, towering above me, and I think I would have said the stupidest shit to him. Like, probably everyone in the room would have said the same thing. You like being back in Australia, mate? Like, you good? Like, what's it like? And I dribbled maybe a couple minutes of footy with him as well, but he was probably looking at me like this little shit, just like
get the fuck out of my face. Yeah, no, I remember I was speaking to him about the Olympics and the World Cup and stuff.
Way better stuff.
Yeah, I asked him a couple of different things, but
I was pure starstruck. I couldn't think of anything apart from the questions.
He's pretty big time, man. He's pretty big time.
Like, because we'd prepared I thought good questions to ask him and funny questions that would play off into a video, not a conversation with him. But good times, and hopefully many more good times to come. So that's 3 years done. 2023 was year of the mock, and I think we're only going to get bigger and better. We'll touch on that in just a little bit as a listener has asked us some stuff for the future. But we'll go back to this spring, mate. We've got 2 things to touch on. First thing, horse of the spring. Are you able to give me maybe 1, 2, 3, or just a top one? Horse that took the spring by storm and can be said as the number 1 horse of the spring. Last year we settled on Animo with a shout out to Ellsberg was the honourable mention. Maybe that. Give me one and then someone that deserves a very strong honourable mention.
I think Without a Fight is the horse of the spring. And I think Mr. Brightside is a very close second, in my opinion. 2 great horses. Mr. Brightside in particular, I didn't think it was going to win that many Group 1s, do that well in at the mile, and it did. And it almost won a Cox Plate.
Yeah, after we rode him off. Like, great to back that up. But then to go to Caulfield, Melbourne, Double, I don't think there's any arguments there that Without a Fight is the horse of the spring. No horse has done that in 20 years. Yeah. I think it's pretty easy to put that in. Yeah, I would say Without a Fight and Imperatriz are probably the 2 that probably you could make a case for either. And then my honourable mention has to go out to Osmosis, of course. Got the Group 1 job done. And another horse, probably Pride of Jenny. You'd have to give it its raps. Did 2 Group 1s in a week. That doesn't happen very often. So definitely, probably not horse of the spring, but definitely horse of the Melbourne Cup Carnival. You can't complain with that. 2 Group 1s in the same carnival. But yeah, outside of those sort of 4 horses, I can't really think of anyone. Well, mainly those 2, the Imperatriz Without a Fight. I can't really think of anyone that could make a serious case for horse of the spring. Maybe if think about it, had gone on to win the Giga Kick Stakes and been undefeated all throughout spring, maybe. But it'd probably be up there in the top 5 of the spring. But yeah, Without a Fight and Imperatriz have to be 1, 2. What about flop of the spring, mate? What was a horse that you thought was going to have an amazing spring but just didn't eventuate?
Francesco Guardi. I think for me, that was a horse that I thought was going to be absolutely perfect into the Melbourne Cup and Caulfield Cup. Just didn't do well. Didn't do what it was expected. Unfortunate, but I'd say it's the flop of the spring. I think it was at one point top 10 favourite for the Cup, probably even shorter at one point. But it's not even going to start in the Cup in the end. It's pretty disappointing for a horse that a lot of people, including myself, thought could win the Cup.
I can back that in. Like, he was top Australian seed coming into the spring, and he didn't even end up running. Like, that's how. But I mean, that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? With the Melbourne Cup, that's why you don't futures bet that far out, because it's an all-in race, and if they don't end up running, you lose your money. And there's always so much water to go under the bridge with the Melbourne Cup. Like, Luna Flare was probably the second top seed locally, didn't run. So, I don't know. My flop of the spring, should I say Amelia's Jewel? Should I bait some TikTokers a bit more? But no, again, I've made my peace with her. She was just unlucky. She gets her chance to prove it. She might be flop of the autumn if she comes out and does nothing, but flop of the spring would be too harsh. I would probably say it's tough because there were a few horses that didn't really live up to many expectations. I had one on my mind and I've just actually blanked. It was one of the staying horses, but geez, I've gone and drawn a blank here. I will say shout out to the Leg Up boys. When I was watching their content the other day, they made a good point that Godolphin in general could be considered flop because they only won a couple of Group 1s. And how often do you see that?
No, I agreed.
Your Caulfield Cup, Cox Plate, Melbourne Cup didn't have any Godolphin runners in it. I thought that was a great point by them. But, geez, that's annoying. That's really going to bug me. But if I think about it, I will come back to it because I definitely had one in mind. I should have written it down. That's silly from me. But we go to the listener questions, mate. Benny O'Brien asks, what horse are we following out of the spring? Who do we think is going to take 2024 by storm?
It's a tough one. I think personally, I'm going to go with Godolphin horse here, who I thought had a pretty sound spring. Didn't have an outstanding, was Cylinder. I think Cylinder next year, with an extra year under his belt, will do very well.
Yeah, I can back that in. Phenomenal run in the Everest.
Yep.
And then all throughout those 3-year-old races, proved to be very sound. Did really nothing wrong.
Just didn't take that extra step, but I think with age, it's going to get better. And this year, next year, I think will be its breakout year if it doesn't get sent. Is it still a colt? I'm not too sure. I think it is.
I believe so. I'll double check that right now. Just so we're...
I'll double check. You talk about...
Okay, yep, fair enough. My horse, I've mentioned it a couple of times so far, Zardozi. Another Godolphin horse, one of the only Godolphin horses that had great success this spring. I think she's just phenomenal. I know the Oaks horses haven't really done much in the last few years, but I'm very confident that she can run up to scratch in the autumn time when she goes to those Group 1s against the older horses. And even spring next time around as a 4-year-old, I think she can do some real damage, especially at some really top races. She'll get the weight advantage being a mare. So I'm very excited to see where Zardozi goes. Was Cylinder colt?
Yeah, colt. So like I was saying, if next year isn't the year, it could be the year after. But I think if it has a strong year here, unless it goes to the barn to go breed, it's going to be my horse to look at next year as going into some big races, personally.
Yeah, fair enough. Just quickly, because the Godolphin seems to be the theme of the last few minutes. What the hell happened to Aft Cabin? Where'd that horse go?
I'm not sure.
Check Racing Australia right now as I continue to dribble on just to see if it's still as a active horse or retired, because that horse dropped off the map. That was the horse. That was the talk of the autumn, that horse, and the one that I made a lot of people mad by saying they should chop his nuts off because I thought he was overrated. And then I don't even know if he had a start in the spring. He just disappeared out of nowhere. Golden Mile, the old running buddy, he stuck around, but don't know where Cabin went. Camo asks, how far does Roots win by this weekend in the Railway Stakes? As Nick continues to research that, I'll have a chat. Camo, mate, I don't even know if Roots wins the race, let alone wins by how far. Certainly a great chance, but when you look at Roots, it's had 6 starts at the mile, won once, second once, third once, and I don't know, up in distance, down in weight helps it. But I know it got its win very impressively last start on the drive, but it's still one of those horses that usually prefers to get its toe in. It's not going to get that on the weekend. I'm not sure. It's a very open race. Tuvalu has had a great spring without winning a race, so that's a deserved favourite there. Alsafina's probably a great chance of the local Perth horses. But I don't know. I think Roots winning by how far this weekend is too bold of a statement to have in such an open race. Could definitely win, but I'm not sold on it being an absolute sure thing. Have you found anything?
There's literally nothing since June. No comments, no nothing.
Okay, interesting. All right, so
weird.
Remains to be seen.
So it's spelled 24 weeks is the last thing that's been put.
So it's spelled. So it's not retired. So it's still an active. It just didn't come out in spring.
Still weird.
Interesting. After that was supposed to be their next boom horse. Wonder what's happened there. Maybe something went amiss in training. But I'll ask you, Nick. Astro asks us, what is next for the Mocs? So I reckon give us, like in the short term and give us long term.
Well, short term, it's probably going to slow down a little bit in terms of horse racing content. Because you come out of the spring, you come out of the autumn, it's a lot harder to pick winners. We've found that. We've looked into it. We've seen you guys have dropped off as well. It's not the same. So a bit less horse racing content, hopefully a bit more AFL preseason kind of stuff. Hopefully we can get into a bit more UFC, maybe even some we got some PGA stuff up our sleeves a little bit as well with in the golf. Yeah, a bit unsure. It's we're kind of waiting to see how we go, mate. So that's me.
Yeah, I reckon short term, keep an eye on the socials. We're definitely going to be trying to bring you some strong content just because it's not super racing centric focused. We're planning on getting some interviews. That's probably the biggest thing podcast wise. So hopefully there will be any number of 3 to 5 plus interviews hitting you in the next couple of months with some top names, both in the racing world and in the sports world. That's the goal. Whether we achieve that remains to be seen, but fingers crossed. We've got our fingers in a couple pies and reaching out to a few people. Hopefully they find the time to come on the pod with us. Long term, mate, I'm going to pose you a question. Do you think this could become full time, or do you think it'll forever remain a side hustle hobby?
Yeah, it's
a tough question.
It's 3 to 4 years off that. I think. Yeah. What do you think?
I think
I'm surprised you asked that on the podcast, to be honest.
Oh, I just wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah.
Best realistic scenario, best case scenario.
Full time is a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. Best case scenario in a year's time, but that's not realistic at all. Yeah, realistically, I think, potentially we could get to the point where this becomes our full-time jobs. Who wouldn't want this to be our full-time jobs? But, chatting shit with your mate for a living seems pretty ideal to me, but we're still a long way off. And a couple of people have asked, like, if we do this as our full-time job. No, we're both currently working somewhat in the education sector. So, but yeah, who knows? The more sponsors we get, maybe we can take it to part-time, then maybe full-time, hopefully down the track. But that's still a long way off. And I finally remembered my flop of the spring. It was because it wasn't one horse, it was a blanket. Just the internationals. God, they were bad this spring, weren't they? Apart from Obam, that was just about the only one. All the internationals came over and flopped in the cup. I don't think there was one international raider that placed in the Melbourne Cup.
No.
Like, they were all Aussie trained. I know Without a Fight obviously started international, but Aussie trained. Apart from Obam, I don't think there were any sort of internationals outside of Australia and New Zealand that won a big race. Yeah, that I can think of.
Like you said, I was going to say New Zealand, but if you want to put them in the same, because Imperatriz is obviously
of course, Kiwi. The Europeans and were shocking this year, which was always surprising. I'm always all over the Europeans, and I lost a bit of money backing the Europeans in strongly. But I mean, they can't be strong every year, I guess, as we'll learn. But apart from that, that's the end of the final sort of review of spring and in general. We'll head on to our final rundown, mate. And if you're liking what you're hearing, give us a like, share, and subscribe. If you are watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure to give us a 5-star rating, because doing all of that just helps us grow more. And if you want to ever actually see us turn it into a full-time gig, that's what you need to do, guys. Get behind us. We love the support. It comes in every week. Everyone always telling us that they love the pod, and people are even recognising us in the street, telling us that they love the pod. So if you keep supporting, we're going to keep bringing you great content, guys. And just a shout out to our sponsors at Stridyl. If you want to start owning a horse today, Stridyl's probably the easiest way to do so. Go to stridyl.com at their marketplace and get shopping for some of the best available yearlings. Then there's a couple of ready-to-race horses as well if you don't want to wait around. So head to stridyl.com now and get shopping. And shout out to Dabble as well, Nick.
Yeah, big shout out to them. They've really helped us out. They did real well with us over Cup Week. A lot of content out there. All those podcasts were sponsored by both Stridyl and Dabble. So yeah, big thank you to those two. But yeah, Dabble's really changing the game of online bookies. Yeah, they're doing great. Go join the other 25,000 other punters, and you can copy every single one of our bets that we mentioned in this podcast with one click into your bet slip. Simple as that. Use the code Mock Sports when signing up, and that'll let them know that we sent you. So thank you.
Beautiful stuff. All right, mate. Into the Kembla Grange rundown. It's a good fall right now, but rain is expected on Friday night, and a thunderstorm on race day is predicted, so beware of that. Make sure you're backing horses that are versatile enough to get it done in the wet or the dry, depending what is dished up. Rail in the true position, so every horse should realistically get a chance. Race 1, 2,000 metres, straight out mount. I'm going touristic. Barely lost last start, and that was to a very promising horse who carried almost 7 kilos less than him. So that was just the telling point in the end, that weight swing. Has to carry a bit of weight here again, but that's just because he's better than this crew. He can win and win well, in my opinion. $3.40 touristic. I'm happy to use that to kick off the Gong day for me.
Fair enough, mate. I'm with you there. I think it looks very nice. So I'm going to go into race 2 here, the Highway Class 3 here. Your favourite here is looking real nice, but I just can't tip the favourite in the Highway personally. I'm going with a bit of form behind this favourite. $7 Sammy Ballerina. Barrier 3, fourth place last start behind Tribeca Star. But has a little bit less weight on it at $7 and $2.30. I think it can be a good each way price for me to have in the second.
Very nice. I don't mind Zudica in the Highway this week. Horse is lightly raced, has a lot of potential, and he's never really run a bad race in his career. Loves the distance, does some of his best work when fresh, gets a jockey who knows how to ride a leader as well. $4.60 is a price I am happy with here. That'll be me in the Highway as we move to race 3. No secrets who you're going to be on, mate, as you own one of the horses. I'll instead be on one of my long-time favourites, Smashing Eagle. His blistering turn of foot always has him charging into the placings late, but he always presses the button just that second too late. So it causes him to come up short, as you've seen throughout this prep. He's come second and third a stack of times, but the market continually has him at each way odds. So if they're going to keep giving me $2 plus to place, I'm happily going to take that because I know he's going to run a strong race. I know he's likely going to be in the finish. So I'm going to back him here. Him to place is probably one of my more confident bets of the day. $7.50 to win, $2.50 to place. I'm licking my lips at that price. Smashing Eagle for me.
Cheerful Legend, my horse, $22, $5 for a place. Coming in fresh. Won a trial at Wyong. Looking nice. Head over to race 4, benchmark 78, the 1,200 metres. Your favourite is Junquera here at $3.30 with J-Mac on board. This is a real tough race for me to pick personally. I'm really stuck here on a couple of horses, but I've gone with Shadow of Love. Barrier 11, $9 and $2.90. Kim Ward trained. One last start at the 1,200 in front of Sumo Star at the benchmark 72. So gets up in grade, but I think he can do well here against this field. So Timmy Clark rides, looking pretty nice for me.
Fair enough. Dollar Magic at $17. Stop it. Yeah. Surely not. Considering how consistent this horse has been this prep, that is absolutely madness. Has to be over. $17 to win, $4.60 to place. She's going to jump on the bunny from that inside barrier, give him something to chase, and I think she'll be very hard to get past. She seems to always get run down right on the line this prep, but she's peaking at the right time. She's screaming for a win, and if she gets it at $17, I'll be laughing. But even if she manages to stick on for a place at $4.60, that's as good as a win bet on some horses. So Dollar Magic for me in the 4th. I'm all over it there at that price. As we head to race 5, in the midway, Ua Davi for me. Chad Schofield booked, and his form has been so-so this spring, but he's starting to hit a little bit of a run of form. He's won a couple of group races lately as well. So, and little bit of a cheeky stat about Chad Schofield. This season so far, he's at a 33% win rate. So he wins every third race this spring so far. So I think he'll give this an absolute peach. And it gets right down in the weights, comes off a win, can do it in all conditions. Like I said, you got to be versatile to be winning on this day in case that rain does come. She should be somewhere in the finish, I think, and at $6 to win, $2.25. I'm happy to take Ewa DeVee.
So Shadows of Love is also been opted in for this race. Not sure if it will run, but Tim Clark has not been booked on this card yet. Sorry, not on this card, not on this race yet. So it could get a start here. If it does race, I will be tipping it. If not, I'm with you, mate. So I'll leave it at that. Head over to race number 6 at the benchmark 88 at the mile. Lock Eagle, $3.40 is my tip. Keeping it pretty simple for this one. I reckon it's the best horse in this race by pretty easily. And yeah, I've watched this horse a lot of times. It's been racing well. One last start. Going to go with it again here.
I like King of the Castle here, back to 1,600. Last week he finished a couple lengths off Wineglass Bay, which is fantastic form to go off. But I just don't think he stayed the distance. So back to the mile, I'm happy with that. It's his pet distance. He's rarely out of the finish at the mile. He can also do it on any sort of condition, so the rain won't bother him if it comes down. He should park right behind the pace and be one of the strongest to watch late. $10 to win, $3 to place. I'm on a lot of value today, punters, so hopefully one of them gets up and I can tip you some profit there. As we skip race 7 because it's in the tip-off, the final tip-off race of the year. We go to race 8, mate, the Warra. Take us there.
Each way play for a black booker, 11.11 here, 26 and $6.50. Always got to have some money on your black book. They're in there for a reason. But my main tip here will be Insurrection at $7 and $2.50. Fourth last start behind, hard to say. Finishing 3 lengths behind. Comes here, 1,000-meter sprint. Going to absolutely give it its best go. It's going to be my tip, Insurrection.
Lovely. Yeah, we love 11-11. 11-11 at the Mock Sports. We tip him just about every start. But he usually needs the run. 10 runs first up. Hasn't won once. But he peaks second and third up. My God, he goes like a bomb. He'll be getting ready for the Gold Coast Magic Millions. That's where he absolutely loves it. He's, I think, undefeated at Magic Millions Carnivals. He's also undefeated at this track, so you'd think he's going to be up there at that price, like you said. A little cheeky each-way play for the black book won't go wrong, especially if he finds his way into the money. I'm going to be going Malkovich. Has trial form behind Overpass. Sorry, not behind Overpass. He actually beat Overpass in a trial, so that's fantastic form to go off. He was also behind Iona Merc, which is a horse I have a big opinion of. Keep an eye on our socials for a rundown of that horse that I just put out earlier today. But Malkovich, yeah, he runs like a bomb fresh. While the barrier isn't amazing, he should push to the front and prove very hard to get past at $14 to win and $4.20 to place in the Warrior. As we move on to race 9, I'm going, Whew.
We're on the same horse.
Yes.
Headwall.
I don't know why.
I'll go. All right. I'll take you to the 9th here, punters, because Cashy's absolutely just shat himself for a second there. Headwall for me. First up here, last start at Eagle Farm, 3rd place. It's coming here fresh, has won a trial at Rose Hill, so looking pretty nice for me. And yeah, Cashy's on it as well, but for some reason.
I'm sorry, my vision just went blurry for some reason.
That's really weird.
That's weird.
It's a worry.
Yeah, but yeah, Headwall for me. 5 starts, 2 wins, 3 narrow placings, and some pretty decent company. Bumped into Ammon last prep, so that's good form to go off as well. Ammon's now running around in some very strong group races. Should be flying around the turn. $5 to win. Headwall for Cashy as well. Now that I've got my vision back, take us to race 10, mate.
Race 10, benchmark 78 to end it, 1,400 metres. Crafty Eagle is your favourite. Tyler Schiller on board. But I'm going pace officer here, $13 and $4 for a place. For giving its last start behind I'm in Town. Sorry. I'm in Town?
Yeah, I'm in Town. I'm in to win, sorry.
To win. Yeah, I know. We're both dumb right now.
We can't read. My God.
So you can tell it's the end of the season. Coming back to the 1,400, I think it'll run really well. 3 kilo claim with the apprentice on board, so I'll be taking Peace Officer.
Lovely. I'm in the Boy in Blue Contemporary.
For my last tip of the spring.
Oh, yeah.
Of the year.
I usually go rough for the last one. That's usually my tradition, but I couldn't go past the Boy in Blue Contemporary. It's real silly season stuff, we're getting towards the end. The Boy in Blue Contemporary ran into a solid horse in Gustissimo last start at Rose Hill and should be respected off that run. He was flying late and just couldn't get his nose in front. Needs a scratching to gain a start, but with such a large field, you'd think at least one of them scratches. So that shouldn't be an issue. Conditions won't bother him. He does his best work third up. He's ready to peak. $8 to win, $2.80 to place is 100% overs for Contemporary to finish off my year of tipping in Sydney. But as well, if you want to continue seeing my tips weekly, go to the www.themocksports.com .com.au, where I put up my Sydney cards each and every week. All right, mate. Let's go to this great spring tip-off for the final time this spring. You are currently 8 points clear of me. If you're only just tuning in to us for the first time, the tip-off is where we pick every feature in Group 1 race. Our tips, like if you have $1 each way on, that's how many points you get, is how much money you would have made. Nick currently is 8 points in front of me. We've been neck and neck for most of the season, so I've got to tip a bit of value.
I've been ahead pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, but I've been on your tail.
But I've been ahead the whole time.
Yeah, Nick's been ahead the whole time. But literally, my writing down here, I've got a few options, but in big bold it says whoever Nick doesn't go, because if I go the same horse as you, then I can't win. I can't beat you for punter of the spring. You're looking to go back to back. I'm determined to take punter of the spring this year. So, mate, who are you going? Are you playing it safe for the favourite, or are you looking for some value?
I think Ozapenko wins.
He's playing it safe.
Yeah, it's not even playing it safe. You pick the horse you think's going to win. I think Ozapenko will win. Comes down right down in grade. Yeah, Ozapenko. I backed to win a Group 1, so this isn't a Group 1, is it?
No,
the Gong's not a Group 1.
The closest you'll get.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I backed it to win a Group 1. It's coming down to this level. Should do well.
I wish I could tip it, but I need to look for some value. So I'm going to go Waterford, the mock favourite horse.
Watch it happen.
Yeah, it'll finally win now that you've jumped off. We're on it just about every start. We get sucked into this horse. When it came out last spring, we were all over it. Like, oh my God, this horse is a start. It's going to win 10 Group 1s. And then it's proceeded to never draw a good barrier, slip out of the barrier, come second, come third, come fourth. But now it finds a very winnable race. It's, again, always flying without winning. But, geez, hopefully it's drawn a barrier this time. It's in the second barrier. Reggie Bayless on board. Interesting booking. Never seen this horse. I would have loved a Tommy Berry on board, but he's over in Perth. So we settle for Reggie Bayless, but he's no slouch. He should hopefully park it right behind the pace. Get a nice gap to the line. I swear to God, if it gets stuck in traffic, it'll just be another bad luck story for this horse. But Waterford hopefully gets that gap, gets over the top of them, picks me up 12 points, gets me over the line, and beats you for punter of the spring, mate. But keep an eye on our socials for those final results and the final leaderboard and tally. And those who are in our comp, if you're down, back those roughies and hope a banjo at $100 gets up and you can go from last to first. We've seen it. Let's see if it can happen. We've seen it mid-season. We've had a few changes that are like that, but let's see if we can see someone steal it at the end here. As we move to around the grounds for the final time, mate, have you found anything around the country that's not in that New South Wales card?
If you get on it early enough, tomorrow at Ipswich Race 3, my horse is running. Another horse, $35.
Which one?
Kazotsky. Annabelle Neesham trained, Robbie Dolan on board, $35 and $8 for a place. Race 3 tomorrow, Thursday.
Smash.
Yeah. So, but on Saturday, Cranbourne Race 3, Kazoo, $2.15. Cranbourne Race 8, Jigsaw, $7. And Cranbourne Race 10, Jimmy Star, $2.70.
Lovely. I'm staying away from the Ascot racing. I know that there's a Group 1 on the card, but I gave my thoughts earlier, and I'm no real expert at the Perth, but I will say if you want value, probably go Alsafina. I think she's probably the best chance of the locals who, has the lay of the land compared to these Eastern Raiders coming over. The only one that I'm going to have a serious bet on, though, is Pounding to win the Cranbourne Cup. $11 to win, $3.80 to place. Jamie Carr on board. This horse gets its pet distance. And has Jamie Carr on its back, who is back in a big way, mate. She's finally back into form, so I'm sure she can definitely get up in this race. And at a price like $11 to win with Pounding, I'm very happy to go on it there. As we go to the Quaddie for the final time of the year, mate, let's try and go out on a high. Race 7, we've got Osipenko, Waterford, Cepheus, and Detonated Jack. Race 8, we've got Broodnell, 11-11, Malkovich, and Insurrection. Who have we got in the last two?
Race 9, Emperor, Headwall, Squad, and Shelby 66. Race 10, Contemporary, 4 for Cindy, Crafty Eagle, and My Tip Peace Officer. $50 as always, 19.5%. awesome. Hopefully we can hit that off. Best bets, mate. Who's your best bet for the whole entire weekend and why?
I want to go out on a high here. I want to go out with a win. I got on a bit of a run there. I've failed in the last couple of weeks. You've been in a bit of a dry patch, so I hope we can both win it. If you want to get on our tips, go to Dabble right now. Code MOCSports when signing up. We also have the multi of them together. But I'm going to go with some value. I'm going to go Smashing Eagle. I know that my best bet coming in the race that you have a horse you own might be a little annoying, but I'm just confident that it can finally get its win here. If not, it will find its way into the placing. So Smashing Eagle each way at $7.50 to win, $2.50 to place in the third at Kembla Grange. Lick on my lips. And if it gets up, beautiful.
I'm going a bit more value as well here. Punter's Jigsaw. I reckon it's going to be my tip of the day. It's been running behind Imperatriz twice. Oh, no, just once, sorry. But ran really well behind Imperatriz. I know, only a couple lengths behind in the Manicato. But coming down in grade. $7 Jigsaw for me.
Some big best bets to finish off the year, punters. If they go bang, you owe us a beer. So if you want to copy them, like I said, go to Dabble right now, download the app, and use the code MOCSports when signing up to let them know we sent you. But if you do so, gamble responsibly, set a deposit limit, and think about what you could be buying instead. But punters, for the last time in 2023, for the Quaddie Poddy that is, stay tuned to see if we get any interviews going and Sideline Stories comes back. But for the final time, we say goodbye. Look forward to the Magic Million special in January and then the Autumn Carnival return. Anything to say to the punters, Nick?
Best of luck. Have a good off-season. Do whatever you need to do. Send us a message if you want us.
See you, punters.